Hello, everyone. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming or for staying, as the case may be. My name is Loretta Lynch. I'm the U.S. Attorney here in the Eastern District of New York. Here today, we are standing at the end of the long road that was the political career of Pedro Espada Jr., who for over a decade was the poster child for political corruption in the city of New York. And it was the choices that Pedro Espada made along that road, the choice to betray his constituents in the Bronx, the choice to loot and fleece a needed health care clinic, and the choice to employ deceit and lies on his taxes that have led him from the halls of the New York State Senate to a federal jail cell where he will spend a much-deserved 5 years and have to pay almost $500,000 in recompense for his actions. Pedro Espada Jr. could have chosen the high road. He could have chosen to do some good. The people of the Bronx trusted him for years with their votes and with their health. The federal government trusted him with over $1 million in health care funds. He could have made a difference in a place where a difference was sorely needed. Yet at every step of the way, every time he had a choice, Pedro Espada chose himself. The health care clinic, Soundview, could not pay medical personnel, yet Pedro Espada could go on vacation to Puerto Rico. They could not afford medicine. They could not afford syringes. They could not afford an MRI or an X-ray machine. Yet Pedro Espada could afford restaurant meals, fancy dining, spa treatments, luxury cars, and everything he wanted for himself and his family, all on the backs of the poor people who trusted him. This case has revealed who Pedro Espada really was all those years. A selfish man, a small man, who continually blames others for his troubles. We heard it during the trial when he blamed black magic for his conviction. He then came back to court and claimed to accept responsibility for his actions and then treated all of us to the spectacle of his latest design, this baseless allegation of judicial misconduct. Pedro Espada stands before you today revealed for what he really is, a thief in a suit, who could have made a difference, but instead chose to betray the public trust.
Are you going to?
I have to thank at this point, and I will take questions, the law enforcement partners who put this case together and worked tirelessly for years. It was a joint effort of the FBI and the IRS, who combed through literally thousands of documents, Soundview's records, the other businesses that the Espadas controlled, and pieced together the web of lies and deceit that Espada was relying upon. I also have to thank our colleagues at the New York State Attorney General's office, who began this case with us under then AG Andrew Cuomo and continued it under current Attorney General Eric Schneiderman. And finally, I have to thank one of the most outstanding trial teams we've had, Carolyn Pokorny, Todd Kaminsky, and former AUSA Roger Burlingame. I thank them for all their efforts. Thank you all.
Ms. Lynch, what did you make of the judge's statement that Pedro Espada did do good in the community and that was a mitigating factor in the sentence?
You know, I think the judge weighed everything and took that into consideration. I will tell you that our view was that the trial proved that for all the good that Pedro Espada claimed to do, he always did one better for himself. And that's what I think you see reflected in both the sentence and the fact that he was remanded right away.
Will you now investigate?
If you will, was, according to the judge, that he spent this money, this missing money, this stolen money, on his wife Connie. What did you think of that?
Well, it's all part of the piece. He spent it on his wife, but he also spent it on his family overall. There were parties for the children. There were vacations for the entire family. The entire Espada family lived very large on the backs of people in the Soundview neighborhood.
Will you now investigate juror number 11?
Pedro Espada's voice today. Do you hear any remorse?
I've never heard remorse in Pedro Espada's voice. It's always been about Pedro Espada. It has always been about what people are doing to him and who he claims is after him.
Will you now investigate juror number 11? The judge is sending that case to you.
The matter of the juror who filed an affidavit has been referred to the office, and because it's now a referral, I'm not able to comment onto that, except to say that, of course, we'll look into that and do what we feel is appropriate.
What are the charges? What are the penalties for perjury like that? If, in fact, it turns out, isn't it a 5-year penalty for perjury in the federal?
5 years is the penalty for perjury, but I'm not going to make any comment on what may develop or may not develop out of that investigation.
Ms. Lynch, why his wife wasn't indicted?
Say again, sir.
Connie Espada. She was the person that was using the credit card from the company and using the SUV and fixing their house in Westchester. Why she didn't get indicted?
The evidence that we developed showed that it was Mr. Espada and his son who were the prime movers and shakers behind the businesses that they used to get the money into Mrs. Espada's hands. So they were the primary people involved in the crime.
What type of message do you hope this case sends generally to politicians? I know that there are other cases pending dealing with corrupt politicians or allegedly corrupt politicians. What should the public take away from this case?
And the public should take away from this case that we are vigilant, we are looking out for their best interests. Where we find evidence of corruption, it will be pursued as far and as long as it takes us to get there. And that's the message that public officials should take as well, is that when we find evidence of wrongdoing, it will be vigorously pursued. That being said, I think the greater message in terms of public corruption in this city is that every public official has a choice. They all get elected on the same platform, and they all have the same obligation, and they take the same oath. They have a choice as to what they do with their time. They have a choice as to what they do with public money. And our request and our desire is the desire of every citizen in this city, that they use it for the benefit of the people who elected them. And those that do that do a great deal of good in this city. Those like Mr. Espada who don't do that tarnish everyone.
What does his son face now? He's going to be sentenced next week. What are the...
His sentencing has been delayed. Let me ask the AUSA what he faces. Obviously, the sentence is up to the judge. The probation recommendation is 18 months. You'll see the same fairly careful review of the case and the facts, and the judge will make his decision.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.